Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's device management interface call. Thanks for joining. As usual, the call is recorded and will be published on YouTube, so please be mindful of any comments and information you share during the call. The first order of business that we have today is that according to the TST that we had this week, in the 2.5 release, we would like to have a working OLT software upgrade via the device management interface with such capability tested via the robot framework. So that is the expectation of the TST and of Seraph and the others of the group. Is that something that you guys think we can achieve? Especially in relation to anybody who's implementing adapters for the device management? Or is it unfeasible and I should report back to the TST that we need more time?
Do we even know the scope of the work? Has anybody looked at how much work it would be?
So from an interface perspective, we're already there. I think Holger and the folks at Adtran are working on it, and I am not really sure about the EdgeCore one because that's Tuskin and his team. I will need to check with him. But if we have a working showcaseable prototype, a working showcaseable prototype with the Adtran adapter, that would be good as well, I think.
So you're thinking only about a showcase, or I mean, the Adtran OLT is currently not part of your normal setup, right? So, and our device manager is just designed to work with an Adtran OLT and nothing else.
I think that demonstrating that the interface works is something that we can do through the Adtran adapter, and in the future we can use it also for the testing whenever we integrate the devices. So I would say that we can start with that one. What are your thoughts? Are you confident that in a couple of months' time that works in a way that can be used for actual operations on the device?
It's already working, so I'm confident. So it's the only thing is, so for example, we haven't decided yet if we're going to open source it, for example. So currently would be a Docker image binary installed using Helm into your cluster. And if this would be okay, so.
Okay, no, that's great news, great information that it's already working. I know somebody was working on the robot tests for that. Uwe, maybe?
Yes, actually we want to do some, I mean, we are also using robot as a test framework internally in Adtran, and we want to run our own test cases using robot, which we're currently not doing for the device management. And he was asking about, because robot is written in Python, so we want to have Python stubs, and we wanted to get it in the repo as well. To be honest, I don't know.
Why would you need Python stubs? Isn't the interface a REST or gRPC interface or some other mechanism?
Yeah, it's gRPC, so you need the gRPC. For the gRPC, you need Python generate code, protobufs and everything in Python. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And this is, I mean, we currently have the Go code in the repo, and I think Uwe was asking about if it would be possible to get Python code as well, automatically generated by Jenkins or whoever's doing that. No, it's just uploaded, I guess, right? Perhaps Amit can say something about it, if he would be okay if Python is in there. I mean, I guess you're doing the same for the normal Volta code, right? There's also, or are you not delivering the client or the generated Python code as part of the repo? This is always done during build. Somebody help me. I don't know. I know I had to install the protobuf compiler always when I did Volta. Is this still the case?
So to me, it's perfectly fine including them in the repo. I see.
Okay.
I told Uwe to submit a patch as soon as he has something. So whoever wants to do it, feel free to compile them and just push them up. I'm perfectly happy having the stubs in there. I don't think there is any contradiction to it, and using them directly with gRPC in the robot test cases, that's fine by me. David, I mean, any?
If we're checking in the generated stubs for Volta Protos, there's no reason we shouldn't be checking in the stubs for this as well, or the generated stubs for this as well. I guess the question is, let's leave it at that.
Yep, I'm fine. So,
do we need to create robot test capability around BBSim for this or something, so that it can be tested without a physical OLT as well?
So that's a good question. I was hoping not to have to do that, but it's a question worth asking. I was hoping that the EdgeCore implementation would be open source and we wouldn't have to write any code. So using the EdgeCore implementation, or in the future, the Adtran one, if it becomes open source, we could test it against maybe an emulator if anybody has it. It is worth asking the question. I think it might be worth putting in BBSim, but I guess it's a low priority one.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to take the EdgeCore adapter or the Adtran adapter and say, hey, I'm going to respond to these interface requests, but there's nothing physical behind it, or not. All right. Because, if we're doing, depending on what we're doing with the robot tests and how, if it's going to become part of Sanity or not, it's going to be an issue.
I think it will become part of the nightly tests with testing physical OLTs. We do nightly tests with BBSim. We skip some functionality that we don't have. Yeah. So while it might be worth testing in BBSim, I don't think it proves that much. Just because
I agree.
gRPC interface.
Yep, that's kind of what it proves.
Mm-hmm.
The only other issue with BBSim is we could inject failure modes, which we might not be able to do with a physical device, right? So we test, what happens if there's a partial download of a software image? Those are going to be the interesting tests.
Okay, so sorry, but are you thinking about having a BBSim simulate the southbound interface of the EdgeCore device manager, or BBSim
simulating this interface, the device interface management interface?
Okay, but then this would only be to test the test, right?
Purely testing, which is the purpose.
Okay,
of testing and development of the interface itself, and just showing, I guess, an example of an implementation.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's also sort of some kind of documentation of the interface, right? Yeah. So you can see how this works, how this is used, and how a device should, or device manager should respond.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's terribly beneficial, to be honest, because as was pointed out, what's it test? It tests the gRPC interface. We know gRPC interfaces work. I am interested to understand how we're going to, on any particular device implementation of it, how do we do negative testing, right? How do we test a partial image download? How do we test a failure of the new image to actually be run, and so it does the back out? How do you put that into robot?
Yeah. Also, the other point is that those type of operations really are dependent on the implementation.
Yeah.
So, given the fact that I don't really think that we are going to invest too much time into this, I mean, I don't know.
But part of the reason to robot testing was to be able to have a standard interface, which we could eventually come back and say, look, to certify your device manager, your implementation, we can run these tests against it. And then again, that brings it back to, so you know, the BBSIM implementation, I completely agree with you, probably pointless, not really worth the effort. But positive and negative testing is worth the effort if we're going to use this as also a certification mechanism. Because the structure around executing these tests, that robot structure, is going to be important and be run on more than just a single adapter eventually.
Yep. Okay. Yep. I think that if Holger, or anybody who works on tests, those to me are as important to open source as the adapter, or even maybe more important to open source the tests, which have no IP. They're more important to me than the adapter itself. The adapter, I can live with a Docker image. The tests are actually much more valuable to ONF if they can be open sourced.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'll speak to U and the other, and maybe you guys offline to see what we can do there.
Hmm.
Because we can, even in the tests, I can easily live with a Docker image with no problem during nightly testing. So, but the test is actually much more important to us because we showcases the implementation basically to other folks.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't see a real benefit of having like our device manager open sourced and running in your pipeline, because I mean it's running against our software, our hardware, so it's totally, I mean, it will be then somehow our test case running against our device manager against our hardware. So
well, in theory,
this is something we are doing as well. So there's no benefit if you run the same test again. So
well, there's a counter argument to that. There's a couple of points that I need to make. One is that those tests that we run are public. So if Adtran is going to join ONF as a member or a partner, and through that get integration in the continuous certification program that David was talking about before, what we will do is that we will take your hardware and run a battery of tests against it, not just these tests, but also functionality error, failure scenario tests. And we are going to guarantee and certify that hardware. And in a public way, everybody can see that your device actually works with all of these elements. So that would be very good, I think, to have. But even if we run all those tests publicly, it doesn't have to be a public implementation of the device manager. It is a public API, which is the whole point, but it's not a public implementation. And that to me is totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's I really see more the benefit of having a Volta adapter tested in your. I mean, you're changing the Volta core and everything, and so it's beneficial to have a pipeline where the Volta adapter is tested against your core or with your core and everything. So this sounds great to me, but for the device management, there is nothing which, I mean, there's only the test case, which is using the device manager, and the device manager is then directly working with the OLT. So there is no integration with anything which has changed besides perhaps the device manager, the OLT, and the software on the OLT. So,
well, but let me let me give
That way
again,
we don't have to, yeah.
let me give again a counter argument to that. So an image upgrade does not only affect the device manager.
Okay,
Yes,
this is a good point. Okay, yeah, okay,
a
you're
very
right. This
easy
also affects.
test would be, for example, we run the update succeeds. What happens on the Volta side? Are we making sure that after the device comes up, we're able to again provision subscribers, ping, and things like that? That is key. So having integrated those tests together, to me at least, is a key component. So that's why I care about having it in the ONF suite, because it proves not just that it works in a bubble, but that it works with Volta, which is the whole point.
Okay, I would agree on that. If you combine these tests with a running Volta system and everything, then yeah, this makes sense.
Okay, perfect, great. Okay, before we go forward, is there any update on the interface itself? Anything that was required? I know I had a point from last time to actually see which parameters the minimum viable list of objects. I heard no update on that. Anybody from any company has any update on this list of minimum elements to consider for a first version of the adapters? No? Then I think we can leave it at that and see you next time. So next up, I have a very interesting topic about logging, since we discussed it some time ago. And thanks to Girish and Divya for joining. So I'll just give a brief introduction and then I'll let them have the floor. Basically, the idea is that they started a work on integrating FluentD with logging from the device. And they're now capable of capturing the OpenOLT log and BAL through FluentD and pushing it to anybody who's listening, basically. And I know they have done a prototype integration with Time Volta. So, Livia, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Let me share my screen.
Yes, thanks.
You are able to see my screen? Hello?
Yes,
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted.
Okay. So hi everyone. So today's topic is centralized log for a Volta ecosystem. We have chosen an approach for centralizing the log for Volta ecosystem using EFK setup. EFK is basically Elasticsearch, Kibana, and Fluent Elasticsearch pods running on with the kind Volta setup, which enables operator to weave logs from all the Volta components in a single stream. So you can enable EFK setup using with EFK flag when you set up a kind Volta. So we are enabling Elasticsearch and Kibana to access from the outside world, from outside a Kubernetes cluster by doing a port forwarding. For Elasticsearch, it is 9200, and for Kibana, it is 5601. And by default, we are not enabling any security feature and physical persistence feature for EFK. This entire feature is available with kind Volta right now. So right now we are planning to push collect the logs from white box OLT and push it to the Elasticsearch basically.
Yeah, we are just chime in. Okay, I think bit on this. So this actually EFK setup is something which was released as part of 2.4, and what we are doing is we have been able to collect and ingest logs into EFK, and they are visible in the EFK as of now from other Volta component which are part of the Kubernetes cluster. There were two parts which are missing. One is I think we got a requirement that we should also be collecting logs from the white box OLT device. Okay, and also from the OpenONU adapter. So OpenONU adapter where logs were getting ingested into EFK, but they were not in the right format. So these two areas we have been working upon, and so I think I came to know from Amit that I think because this discussion was happening in this call, so I just probably thought we'll probably cover this aspect here as well. So just trying to give you, I think, background on this. This implementation has gone in already in 2.4, and we are just covering additionally on the white box OLT device. So probably the way we just talk about this, how we are doing it in the white box device.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think you can just go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. So we are planning to install a TD agent, that is a Fluentd variant. TD agent, TD is a treasure data. This is a company which actually maintains the Debian RPM packages for the Fluentd actually. So we are planning to use a TD agent, TD and Debian package and install directly on a OLT device to capture the logs from OpenOLT process, device management process, as well as the syslogs, and then push those logs to the Elasticsearch pod, which is running in the Volta cluster. So there are some prerequisites. We have to install a NTP on the OLT device. So make it sure that it has a OLT device has a correct time, which can be used by TD agent for generating the events further. For installation of a TD agent Debian package, operator has to download the TD agent package, Debian package using a wget. I am providing the link here. Sorry. This is the latest one, that is the version 3.8.0. And once you download the TD agent Debian package using a dpkg-i, you can install on your OLT device. There are some post installation steps are there. So we have customized the TD agent configuration to capture OpenOLT process logs, device management daemon logs, and syslogs with the right input plugins and Elasticsearch output plugin in the custom TD agent configuration file. So operator has to copy the custom TD agent configuration file to etc TD agent conf. He basically has to replace that file. Then once he replaced that file, then he supposed to add a right host and port for the Elasticsearch. Once he set this one, he is supposed to save the file and then restart the service. Once the service starts, TD agent service starts, we need to redirect syslogs to default port of a Fluentd syslog plugin. So he's supposed to add this line in the etc rsyslog conf and then save it. Then he has to operator has supposed to restart the syslog service. Anybody has any questions on this?
Just a minor one. Are these configuration files open source? Did you put them somewhere?
It is a TD agent you are talking about?
Yes, that the specific one you mentioned that the operator needs to change.
So
Yeah.
okay, yes. So the TD agent as such, it's a Apache licensed.
Okay.
Okay, so and these files we are going to create. So this TD agent configuration file, we have created a custom file. So anyway, that would go open source.
Oh, okay.
And right, so just it's not that large a file. And then yes, I think other things that I think we have to modify the RSys log, which I believe is not right proprietary. It's RSys log is anyway open source, right?
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, I was just asking if the file was already up somewhere, or it still needs to be open source. It still needs to be open source, but it's no problem. That's still perfect.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can put in I think a header, right? A copyright header with Apache, right?
Yeah,
That should be okay.
that would be perfect. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's I think approach we had taken. Yes, so Divya, please go ahead. Maybe move to,
Yeah.
if there.
So this is a brief diagram which shows how the kind Olta and Olta ecosystem looks like. In the left hand side, you have a kind Olta setup, which has a Olta ports and EFK ports, where Olta components are pushing all the logs to EFK. It is Elasticsearch Flow and Kibana. And you have a white box OLT device where TD agent is running on that device, which collects the log from OpenOLT. It's basically tail the logs for a OpenOLT process, device management, daemon, and as well as syslog. And TD agent will push those logs to Elasticsearch, which is running in the kind Olta setup over the TCP protocol. Okay.
Okay.
So we are facing some challenges while doing this. Uh, while doing this, there is one thing we observed that after installing a TD agent, systemctl command has broken actually, and we need to investigate further on this. We'll try to fix it. And there are some junk characters are coming in the OpenOLT logs, which are further carrying over to the Kibana UI. And so integration into the Olta log level management is, we are not planning to do it now. Means it's little tricky.
So the idea is I think we're not planning to actually, for example, we are managing the other Volta component. We are able to do the dynamically. We are able to change the log level of the component, but I think this is something which we're not planning to do as part of this change. That changing the log level of the OLT device.
Yeah, no, that is totally fine. I think there is another set of discussion that is going on within this group and within the operators on exactly how to do that. But I think that the capability of capturing, this great capability of capturing that you have just put in is definitely needed, whatever the log level is. So that's perfect.
Yeah, so I think this is something which we are able to do. If I'm not wrong, I think we have to just fix this systemctl. We looked at it. Looks like some kind of a shared library got overridden, which was causing problem, but it was not causing any other problem. So systemctl was not working, but you could start and stop the service using the service command. That was okay. We need to probably check out why systemctl is giving a that. But we'll try to investigate and fix that. Other thing which I just probably missed out to probably get included in this is I think we're also investigating on securing the transport of logs from the device to the Elastic. This TD agent do support installing certificate for secure transport of these logs, but we have not yet investigated that part. We need probably explore that part, or we can install this kind of certificate on
Yeah,
both sides for transport of logs.
So on that, there is also another discussion in parallel, which is going on for securing the OpenOLT agent to OpenOLT adapter connection. So maybe I would suggest you to join next week's TST on Tuesday, because we're going to talk about that, about the security of the channel, of the gRPC channel. And some of the things that we decide there might be reused for this.
Yeah, sure.
Possibly. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's a good thing to synchronize on that. And for now, we can live with clear transport for now, which is perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, any other comments? So this is something which we probably aim to complete, but if as you see, right, even after installing TD agent, there are some manual steps involved. Is that okay, or should we look at kind of doing some additional automation? What we can probably do is we create a additional wrapper Debian package to do some additional automation of this, right? Or we can create a small wrapper on this Debian package and maybe additionally provide a script or kind of a tar archive which can do some of this part. That is also
So
a possibility.
so there's definitely automating it's fine with another Debian package or a shell script. I think also just these are 4 steps. Documenting these. That's what I wanted to suggest also, to document these steps. In some documentation, we can have it in the device management interface, or we can have it in some other place in the Volta docs that can be discussed, or wherever we want to update this. But I would really suggest to upload this documentation somewhere. And I think it's fine because all of these operations are a one-time step. You don't need to do this every time. So
Yeah.
I think it's fine. It's like installing the dev package for the OpenOLT. You do it manually, and that's it. I think it's okay.
Okay. All right.
Having a set of steps here. Maybe you can either add them under the device management interface docs here, or even better, probably under a page in the docs.volta.org. Maybe during OLT provisioning, just say something like, oh, if you want to install this, just you have to do these 4 steps. That's just my suggestion.
Yeah, sure. So we will look at the appropriate place and probably add it. And it's more important to add it someplace, right? And we can always just link it to some other page.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
And this custom configuration of TD agent file, we have to keep somewhere.
Yes, that's a good question, where to keep it. I mean, we could keep it in the OpenOLT repo, or we could keep it here in the device management interface. I don't particularly care where exactly it is. Any suggestion, David?
What's in it, I guess, is my question.
Can you show us an example, Divya?
Okay. Probably I have to share everything then. Okay.
I can just explain. Okay. See, basically, if you look at when we are capturing this the OpenOLT logs and the logs like from what all the device management, right? They come in a particular format, right? So this file contains how to interpret that format. It contains a regex expression to kind of take out tokens out of it, right? And do some transformation also. For example, here we get I as a indicator of the log level, but we convert it into info, debug, warn, and all, so that it is harmonized with the other logs. Right?
I guess I guess part of the question is this really a static file, regardless of the device, or is this going to be device specific?
No, it is static file. It is as long as the formatting of the log doesn't change with the next set of versions of OpenOLT, right? No, I think it will not change.
Because this is for the OpenOLT agent. So but you're also processing, I thought, syslog. I guess the question is anything coming here? Is anything in that file going to be different if that OpenOLT agent is running on EdgeCore versus AdTran versus whatever?
I guess OpenOLT, I guess will not change, because the OpenOLT agent logs, right? It's driven by the agent software, that is not changing. But syslog but syslog is also a defined format, right? I guess no, it will not change, I believe. But we have to test it out.
I think that given that the format that is included in that file for now is for the OpenOLT, maybe the OpenOLT agent repo is the best place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, right.
Girish, I have one question. Maybe I missed that part, but where do you configure the location of fluentd in the configuration?
We configure the Elasticsearch IP and port, right? So essentially, because Elasticsearch is exposing a port, right, for ingestion of incoming logs, right? We actually we provide that port number and the Volta cluster IP. Does that answer your question?
So, okay. So, where is this configuration present?
That is in TD agent only, that conf file. So other than that
Inside the
particular part,
TD agent.conf file?
yeah.
No, because this is something that will keep on changing, right, on every deployment.
No, it has to be. It would not change after initial install, right? Your Volta cluster IP would not change, right?
Correct. But what I'm saying is, if I have to install it in, say, our setup here, then I have to put a different IP, right? So that because it's an IP address, so on a per deployment basis, it will change.
Yes, it would. Yes, that would change. So that is a one manual step you have to do after the installation of TD, and you replace that the default TD agent config with this configuration, and then you have to update the Elasticsearch, and then you restart that. So that was indicated, right, in that manual steps. But that has to be done once.
Yeah, that is fine. Yeah, okay. So I was just looking for as to where the IP address is configured. And okay, so that is there. And so just from architecture perspective, so this TD agent is directly talking to Elastic. So there is no fluentd in between, is it?
No, because this TD agent is actually a fluentd implementation. So TD, right, fluentd has different variants, and TD agent is one kind of variant which is maintained by one company. But we just checked on the licensing; it is a Apache license.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So I think the next steps are for you guys to figure out the last final elements that you put in the presentation, and the discussion for the logging security. And when that is done, upload the custom TD agent in the repo, and document the process of installing this within somewhere. I guess here or here, it's perfectly fine, wherever you want. And then we can definitely use it. So this is great work. I very much like it. It's great implementation.
Yeah, thanks, Atika.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, sure. I think we'll probably take it to closer probably next week, and yeah, update this documentation.
Yep. And also at some point, if you want to do a demo, I think everybody will appreciate it, and we can record it and publish it.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I think. We're probably aiming for the next weeks, not next week, the next to next week TST. So by that, I believe we will have this integrated with actual OLT. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Great. Okay. Any other questions, comments for Divya and Mitch?
I have a more general question. I mean, I also like it. Thanks for the presentation. When we discussed about logging some weeks ago, we were still discussing about a remote syslog or something. So I'm not part of the TST discussion. So there was not a change now that this Fluent export to Elastic is now the new requirement, right? It's just another possibility to do it.
It is another possibility. That is the way that it has been done by Divya and Girish and the team. the whole point is that you export your logs. This,
Okay, yeah.
This is the way we are going to showcase it, and we're going to upload it, and we're going to say that it can be done. But if your logs arrive to Elasticstack in another way, we don't care.
Yeah. Actually, we had a brief talk with Manuel, right? Manuel Paul on this, and I think he indicated the ultimate aim is that they want to see these logs in EFK, right? Ultimately, the aim is to kind of transport it over to EFK, right, as a central view for all the logs coming for the Volta. So, and we had already been working on this particular approach. So that's why I think it came up that it's something which probably, if it works, I think they are okay with that.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I just wanted to make sure that it's not the new requirement. So that's because I think before we always discussed that this will be device dependent somehow. And so, I mean, it's great to have in this way.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that it's not the wrong expectation, that everybody is supporting it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so again, just to iterate the message, this is a sample implementation and a possible way of doing it. The important thing is that the logs get to EFK. How they do it, it's device specific.
I mean, going to EFK is actually optional too, right? This is, again, this is a reference implementation. If a given deployment wants to complete their logging infrastructure completely different, they're free to do so.
Yeah, I think that at least the people at Deutsche Telekom would like to have it to EFK.
Yep.
But yes, let me capture the fact that also EFK, it's an operator's choice. If Deutsche Telekom wants something else, they're free to use whatever they want.
Yeah. So my question is only that, I mean, okay, just suppose that Deutsche Telekom wants to have EFK, this is fine, but before we said that the device manager will basically only configure the way where logs are going to send, and the conversion from, say, syslog to and the export to EFK is not a functionality of the device manager, but I mean, it could be perhaps the functionality of the device manager, but it is not a required functionality of the device manager. It could be some other building block within the system who's doing the exporting, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Anything else for Divya, Girish, or anything else on this topic? No? Okay. Then thanks a lot for the presentation, Divya, Girish. Looking forward to getting this at the finish line and seeing some demo. And thanks a lot. It's great work. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
And if I can help in any way, just let me know about documentation, upload of any patch or anything. Just do let me know. I'm always available for anything.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So last topic of the day is the meeting time and schedule. For those of you who are not really aware of what I'm talking about, there was a discussion today on the channel that 5 p.m. In Central European time is a little late, especially on a Friday. So there was hope that this group could adjust to an earlier 4 p.m. Central Pacific, which is 7 a.m. Pacific Standard, which is 7:30 India Standard, if I'm not mistaken. Would that work for everybody, or would that be a problem?
It's fine for me. This is Amit. If you're looking for votes.
Okay.
Yeah, fine for me too.
Yeah, I think the question will be more for the US folks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yep.
For Chip, David.
Yeah, I'm Central Time, so that's cool.
Okay,
And
great.
again, that's 7 a.m. my time, right?
Yeah, it's
That's fine.
It's the West Coast people.
Wherever you are.
Yeah, that'll work.
I like the suggestion to work from Bermuda, but there's you know that there is a tax on that. It's like a couple $1,000s.
No, well, I don't know. There's no income tax, and the application fee is $250, $260.
Oh.
And no income tax because you're technically employed outside Bermuda. You do have to find a place to live.
Yeah, Barbados is about to do a 1-year stamp.
So
So
Okay. There was also a discussion of moving it to bi-weekly. I'm fine with that, and we can keep the every other Friday on a need-to-need basis. Would that work for everybody, or do you guys think there is a need to meet every Friday?
Andrea, I would think that on the schedule we keep it weekly, but if there are no topics to be covered, then we could just cancel it, right?
Okay, that's fine by me.
Yeah,
It would
because
be
if you go the
great
other
if-
way, then if
yeah.
there is a need, you need to call for a meeting.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did past week. There was no real topic, so I just canceled it. So I think.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah.
Would it be possible to cancel a day in advance? So great. Sorry. No, I mean,
Yes.
I agree.
okay, great. Thank you.
I
If possible.
I try to send the invite or cancellation out on Thursday. I'll try to do my best to do that. If it doesn't happen, I'm really sorry, but I'll do my best.
Thank you.
So next up is the topic of the next 2 weeks. So on the next 2 Fridays, I am on personal time off. What I can do is I can ask somebody to host the meeting at least one of the 2 times. Possibly Matteo, Girish, somebody. I can ask to an F, or I can cancel for the next 2 weeks. Up to you guys. Do you think it's needed to at least have 1 week of the meeting, or we can just reconvene end of August?
Again, I don't know what's coming up on the agendas, so I'm not aware of anything that necessitates a meeting right away or for the next 2 weeks, but it's possible that something comes up.
Okay, yeah, let's do this. Let me cancel it for next Friday, but keep it for the Friday after and see what goes on. Okay.
Are you going to be gone just Friday, or are you going to be gone the whole week?
I'm gonna be gone the whole week. Not next week, the week after.
Okay. So if nothing comes on the agenda, then I think we cancel it.
Yeah, I can cancel it.
Yeah.
I do have internet access.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
I know. But okay, cancel. Okay. Is there anything else that you guys want to discuss before we close the meeting? Okay, then if not, thanks everybody for joining, and thanks for the great discussion and presentations, and thanks for the great work, especially Girish and Divya today for the EFK presentation. So much appreciated. Let's reconvene whenever the agenda needs it, and let's continue talking on Slack and things like that. Cheers. Take care. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.